Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? My name is Gavin Kerr, and I am joined by Brett Gordon this morning. How you doing, Brett?
I am doing absolutely awesome for 7 o'clock in the morning.
Good. I'm glad to hear. How's your morning been so far? You got any adventures yet?
Yeah, my biggest adventure was getting off the recliner I slept in all night and jumping in the shower.
Fair enough. Sounds exciting. I completely forgot. Today was my appointments for my second COVID shot. I got that today, and I was reminded by an alarm that went off right in my ear telling me I had 10 minutes to get to the hospital. So I learned how to teleport this morning. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Teleport in to get the shot. All right.
Yep. I learned how to teleport, and then I also learned how fast I could put on clothes. Apparently, I'm just as fast now as I was when I was 17 and trying not to get in trouble with my parents.
Or trying to get out your girlfriend's window before her parents came in.
Exactly, yeah. You never realize how fast you are until you feel like you're in a life or death situation.
Exactly.
Fight or flight is a miracle.
Oh, man. So otherwise, you made it there. You got the shot. You now got, 14 days, and then you're supposed to be fully protected as much as those 2 shots will give you?
Yeah, something like that. Either that or I'll grow some extra limbs. I'm not really sure. We'll see.
Yeah, if you come on the show next week and you got these horns starting to come out through your hat, we know.
I see. As long as it's like something aesthetically pleasing, I wouldn't mind some crazy genetic mutation, like horns, or like if I grew like an extra finger on each hand that was perfect, that was actually like usable and functional, I'd be fine with that as long as there's some symmetry.
Yeah, well, you never know when you get an opportunity to do something like that, what additional benefits it may provide in different aspects of your life. Let's just put it that way. Whether it's playing the guitar with 6 fingers or being able to use an extra finger to do other things.
Yeah, like working on cars.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I know. That's why I wanted to let the audience in on that. That's what you're talking about. Working on cars or making sushi. That's another hobby that I might get into if I acquired extra fingers.
Right. So
I try to pick up extra hobbies whenever I can. Lately, I gotta go to. There's a bar down the street from one of the bars that I work at. I work at Hatfield's Good Grub. I do karaoke there tonight, actually Fridays. And there's an Irish bar down the road that supposedly gives free the owners give free bagpipe lessons because they want to try to include more people in the community. So I'm going to go look into learning the bagpipes here pretty soon.
I love the sound of bagpipes. I think it was the movie The Devil's Brigade.
Yeah.
That I really got to liking it. And then I remember going down to Disney World, and Disney World had a rock band that incorporated bagpipes, and that I thought was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. It was like a Canadian rock band at the down in Epcot Center. They've got all the different countries represented, and in the Canadian one, they had this. It was basically their house band, from Canada, and to me, that was just an awesome combination of bagpipes and rock and funny lyrics and stuff like that.
Bagpipes are like one of those instruments where if you don't know how to play it, it is one of the most god-awful instruments in the world. But if you do know how to play it, it is one of the most badass and impressive instruments in the world.
I think so. I think so. And it also gives you another good reason to be wearing a kilt.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about it at first, but then the lady who was telling me about it, she's like, yeah, like if you learn that and get really good at it, you can go do funerals. It's like, oh my God, you're right.
Oh
I
yeah,
can do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
There's
Well,
that. They have like special parades and whatnot. Certain military events. Like there's all kinds of things that you never think about how useful bagpipes are.
well, that's right. I mean, if you think of some of the traditional ceremonies for fallen policemen and so forth, especially like in New York, where they've got, a large population of Scottish and Irish and so forth,
Yeah.
they always play the bagpipes. And, the bagpipes can have a very somber feel, or they can have, in my opinion, a very motivating feel.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. The only thing that, and I could be wrong about this because I haven't looked terribly much into the instrument and haven't played it very much, or I've never played it at all. Is as far as I'm concerned, they only have one volume setting, which is extremely loud. I don't think you can softly play the bagpipes.
I'm not sure exactly how that can be controlled on those on the bagpipes. So you could very well be.
Yeah, because it's all pressure. It's all squeezing the bag, right? That's where you blow it up and then you squeeze into it and it goes through. Okay,
Yeah.
So I do have that right. And then you're blowing more air into it to reinflate that bag is what you're doing.
Right. And I don't know. That's probably the kind of instrument I should have learned to play since I'm so full of hot air to begin with.
Pardon me. No, it would definitely help with some lung capacity for you.
Yeah. I mean, anytime breath control is a good thing, but you have, a lot of wind instruments require good breath control.
Yeah.
And I listened to one band called Brule. They're a Native American band, and they play kind of a cross between rock and traditional music. The lead flute player plays a traditional orchestral flute, but she plays it in a way that it sounds like a Native American flute, which are, kind of two totally different instruments in the way you play it. But she was trained as a, traditional orchestral type of a flutist. And then to bring in her Native American heritage, learned to play it in a way that sounded like a Native American flute. So I've seen the band. They have Native American dancers and things like that accompany the band, and you get a chance to see, the culture in many different ways. But really love that because it's a combination of cultures, and I really love that in music, in rock, where you have you bring together cultures that you don't necessarily normally see. That's why I loved when Metallica did the album with, what was it, the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra.
Yes, yeah.
And to me, that was one of the best.
Was it them or the Siberian Orchestra?
Well, Trans-Siberian Orchestra does something very similar to that too.
Yeah.
And that, I've seen them probably 10, 12 years, and they only come around once a year, but I really started to know about them back in like 2004. And I love it because they bring in that same kind of thing. They bring in Christmas music and rock, and they have a small orchestra or string orchestra behind them. And then they have one of the most fantastic stage presence in terms of the way that the lights interact, the background interacts, the pyrotechnics for a concert that only costs, I think now it's up to maybe $79 a ticket. It's one of the best value shows and one of the most exciting shows for me to watch out of any rock band that I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would definitely really love to go see. Honestly, I want to go see a show at all right now. it has been so long since I've been able to go to a proper concerts. So I'm willing to see anybody at this point.
Well, you can go see Gavin Kerr in concert.
He sucks.
That's not the way you're supposed to inflate that bag. You're supposed to blow into it, not suck into it.
Yeah. No, I got new stuff working right now. I just have to do the vocals, and then I'll start doing music videos and putting stuff out. So hopefully, definitely before the end of the year, I'll have new music out myself. I'm excited about.
Cool. You know what would be awesome if you start doing music videos is try to get some videos in that include like Bob Seymour on his bike and Brian Tracy in his truck, and kind of bring that all together into some sort of a music video.
I could see that, just because there's a lot of videos where they just have like the singer or some person just driving, looking like very melodramatically into the distance kind of deal. So I could definitely see that. Yeah,
it could kind of be a new version of Easy Rider that incorporates, the road soldiers of the US.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely something like that. Absolutely. It's like Brian Tracy here is saying that he got me 2 more interviews. That's awesome. Make sure you let me know when those are and everything. Make sure that everything in the schedule is clear, and then I'll put those in the calendar. I got another one coming up soon, actually. Let me double check when it is for Between the Notes.
Look at that, Brandon. That's something new I didn't know about. Brandon saying that once upon a time he had great lungs and was first chair clarinet. When I get past that, then I'm going to pick it up again. Well,
I know I can play the clarinet. That's awesome. I can play the trombone, Brandon. There we go. We just need somebody to do some percussion.
There you go. There you go.
So next week I have, let's see, Amy Bishop, and I have Raven Black for Between the Notes.
Well,
he needs me to say yes to December. What is in December? I hope it's not something that he told me that I've just completely forgot about. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have any plans in December, so yes.
Well, it sounds like you're going to be able to do something. Anyhow, have you heard of anything that was Bob Seymour? I can play the radio. There you go.
Nice. It's very diverse instruments.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You could have Bob in the background playing the radio while you're in the foreground singing lyrics.
Oh, it was a real game changer. The radio, it really revolutionized music, how we listen to music.
Yeah, well, it goes along with kind of the conversation had on One Square at a Time last night, and talked about even during the shows, and it's how frequencies can affect you, and frequencies. You have amplitude modulation, which is your AM, and frequency modulation, which is your FM, and you get a chance to see how energy really transfers information, music, whatever, across the air, and then how those different frequencies, in terms of the music, the melodies, etc., affect your physical and mental frequencies. So pretty cool stuff what can be done with energy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What? What's Brandon saying here? Brandon, I had a sex change?
Because that's not Brandon. That's the Breakthrough Show.
Oh.
So as you can clearly tell, we're still waking up.
Yes.
We are still waking
up.
Out
there.
Jessica Dugas. Now I'm even more confused.
Yeah,
what's going on in December?
From Brandon, I can understand it. From Jess, that really throws me for a loop.
Yeah. Hi, Jessica. Good morning. We're sorry. We're still waking up. It's been a long day.
I wish that I could wake up at the time you guys get a chance to wake up. This 6 o'clock in the morning stuff is still not something that fits into my normal normal bodily cycles.
What time you normally wake up at?
I normally would wake up only, maybe 8:30, something like that. But those extra 2 hours means that I go from getting 3 hours of sleep to getting 5 hours of sleep. At 5 hours of sleep, I can operate pretty well. At 3 hours of sleep, I have to take a 2 to 3 hour nap in the afternoon.
Have you ever thought of going to bed 2 hours earlier?
No. I usually start to get creative at that time of the day. So trying to go to sleep before 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning has never been easy for me. There were times, in the military where I had to wake up at dark 30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And yes, just because your body finally just shuts down and says, okay, you're going to go to sleep at midnight and you're going to wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. When I was in officer training school, it was kind of the same thing. You had to wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and go out and do your physical training. But at night, the way that they put stress in the Air Force, each service does a different way of stressing leaders and stressing the enlisted as well. But in the Air Force and officer training school, what they did is they put all this work on you from classes and things and learning and so forth, but they didn't give you any time during the day to actually study.
Yeah.
So you think you have this period that you can go to sleep, that you can study, and then it's time. They say, okay, it's time to go cut the grass, and you're like, what the F? And you got to go do this, and then you come back and you have to have lights out at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Well, what we did in order to be able to study at that time is you would go lights out and then take your flashlight and put your blanket over your head so that they couldn't see in through the windows or under the door any kind of light in your room. And then you would study with like a flashlight and your study materials until 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever. And I learned how to be able to sleep in like the big auditorium type classes that we had. I could lock my hand in place with the pencil and appear as though I'm really paying attention to what's going on stage and be catching naps that way. They would normally go around and watch for the guys that are doing, the head nod thing.
Yeah.
But at that time, I got to be really good at just being able to lock that position in. And I never got caught for sleeping in those classes.
Do you know about the 90-minute sleep cycles?
I know about sleep cycles. I'm not sure I know about, what the 90-minute sleep cycles are.
So it takes approximately 90 minutes for each cycle to be complete. So if you want to, if you take a nap, I'll usually take naps in increments of 15, 30, or 90 minutes. Because that allows different cycles to go through.
Right.
So that way, if you oversleep or undersleep these cycles, that's why you wake up extremely groggy and feeling gross and weird, or like you're foggy and you're out of it, is because you haven't completed that cycle. So your brain doesn't properly reset back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the real quick power naps. Like they say, don't go any more than 15 to 20 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to have that grogginess or possibly feel worse than you did when you took that nap.
Yeah.
And I used to do that when I was director of IT. I would close my door in my office and catch a quick 15, 20-minute nap, especially once I really started to recognize that slamming my body with the amount of caffeine that I was doing for years. I went cold turkey and got rid of that stuff and instead kind of changed it out to be power naps.
You got all your caffeine out.
Yeah.
How was that? Because I know I had a manager at Olive Garden who would drink, I think, 2 liters a day on top of coffee. And she tried cutting out all her caffeine cold turkey one time and came to work looking white as a ghost with jitters and a horrible attitude. Like it was bad. It was really funny, but it was bad.
What I would do, because I used to do like, a large Starbucks coffee in the morning and then have like a rock star after that, and then drink like diet Mountain Dew for the rest of the day, or diet Pepsi or something. But every time it came to that Christmas holiday cycle where you didn't have as many meetings and that kind of stuff, I would normally start to almost go cold turkey every year at that time, where I was like, okay, no need for it. Don't have meetings in the day. You're still going into work, but you didn't have those meetings. And then in 2006, I really started to get a better understanding of what it was that I think was happening with my sleep cycles. And because I had so much caffeine coursing through my veins during the day, when you'd go to sleep, your body really didn't get rest during that sleep. And as a result, when you wake up, you're still extremely tired because your body couldn't relax. So after that holiday cycle, I just kept the caffeine out, and it took maybe about a month, but I never really had like big headaches or withdrawals. I would say that there were times where my temper was a little bit edgy, and I had to pay attention to myself during that time, because even when people say, oh, I'm feeling terrible, my emotions are starting to come through. Well, if you can recognize it, you can also offset it, or at least back out of some discussions that may be going down the wrong path in your mind at that time. So it was about a month, and then after that, if I use caffeine, it's very effective, but I rarely use it now because it's just something that I know doesn't work well with my body. I used to get those kind of jittery things, and if it wasn't physical, you could definitely feel the jittery in your mind. And that was when I really started saying, I got to do something different here.
Yeah. For those wondering, Brandon, yes, he is still sick right now. He's got all kinds of gross fluids going in and out of him at the moment. He's a bit messed up. But he witnessed firsthand, and I was not aware of this. He witnessed firsthand. When I'm very tired, my voice will get kind of gravelly. Yeah. And my answers are very short, not because I'm irritated, but just because I just don't have the energy or the thought to put much into words. Like I'm just saying like 2-word sentences, like coffee, please, like stuff like that.
We recognize that on the show sometimes.
Oh yeah, it definitely happens on the show sometimes. But he pointed out to me. He asked me, he's like, "Hey, what's wrong? Like, why do you have an attitude?" And I had no idea that the tone of my voice sounded aggressive or irritated, even though I was completely calm. And I had to explain to him a couple of different times, like, "Hey, I'm not irritated. I'm just really tired. That's all."
Yeah.
And then you asked me 5 times if I'm irritated, and now I'm getting a little irked.
Right. Well, those are the things that we need to be aware of in our bodies and our minds, because then we can actively, work with it, as opposed to having it work us.
Yeah.
And so I started doing caffeine like that. Well, not as bad, but when I was in college, because in grade school we couldn't bring like pop or anything into classes, and I didn't drink coffee or anything like that when I was in grade school. But as soon as I went to college, it was like candy bars and diet, or candy bars and pop, and you're drinking pop in class to keep the caffeine flowing. And then I went in the Air Force, and it was candy bars and coffee and pop in order to stay awake. And I'd still fall asleep in classes when I was in the Air Force.
Yeah, and then I go through weird phases where I will I'll drink coffee every single day for probably, I don't know, a month or two, and then just stop cold turkey completely without hesitation, and I won't go back to it for the longest time.
Okay. Gavin, are you sending the link to Brian? Okay.
Yes, I already have it.
Yeah, we got Bob Seymour coming on today, which is going to be the first time we've had a guest on the show in a couple of days, which is going to be awesome.
It's the first time we've had any guest on the show in a couple of days. You and I have gotten to know each other quite well.
Yeah, from a distance. After being together last week, now we get a chance to work together all the time this week. So looking forward to hearing where Bob is. I think he's back up in Colorado and enjoying the cooler weather up there, hopefully, than we're having in most of the other areas. But looks like we got Bob coming on.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring him in early because I've missed him that much.
Sounds good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Seymour.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
Morning.
How have you
How you feeling today, Mr. Bob?
I've still got a little scooter leg going on, but I'm doing all right, man.
Oh, yeah? Where you at now?
I'm back at the rocket scientist place for this morning. I'm going to head down to, I think it's Broomfield or something. I got a big pig roast going on this weekend. So
That's right. That's that the charity event, right? You were telling us about.
No, this is an annual 4th of July biker party that
Nice.
We just have a lot of fun, man.
I love that. I love it. So it's been 2 weeks technically because it's Friday. It's been 2 weeks since we've last talked to you. How have you been? What have you been up to?
Oh man, I've been tired of hell. Sunburned, windburned. Oh my God. I that trip to Florida and back was like, oh help me, Jesus, man.
I can tell it's stressful. Your beard's turning a little gray there.
Yeah, I got a picture on my Facebook page from like the 2 days into this 48 state ride. There wasn't any gray in there at all, man.
Yeah.
No, man, it was a hell of a ride down there though. We did, we got caught in that tropical storm crap along the coast coming back. It was not good. I was going to stop at Jessica's, but she was sick, and I really didn't want to take a chance because I had to stop and see a couple of people on the way here, and a couple of them were a little bit older, and brother had diabetes and whatnot. And I really didn't want to take a chance of taking something, so we canceled out last week, and which was a good thing because I was spinning out. I wanted to get out of Atlanta. I was watching the weather, and I thought, God, I don't want to wait till Friday, but I will because I gave my word, And,
yeah.
But Jessica was sick, and I went, thank you, Jesus. And not that she's sick, but, So I took off Wednesday morning early and busted it over to, I think it was called Senatobia or something like that, Mississippi. Spent the night there with a couple of friends. And then the next morning I hammered it over to Wichita. That was, oh my God, that was 103, 104 degrees, 45, 50 mile an hour winds all day. I saw tractor trailers blow over. I mean, it was not good. Yeah. And then I left, I only spent the night in Wichita. I wasn't going to go through Wichita. I was going to go back through Panhandle, Oklahoma, and up in Texas, and come on up into Colorado the same way I went down. But every time I set my GPS, it said I was going to Wichita, and I was definitely not going to Wichita. But I said, what the hell? I got a friend up there who was struggling, and that's what I do. So I went up there and spent the night with him. And then the next morning, I left Wichita at 4:00.
Did anything significant happen while you were there? Because it seems like you were actively trying to avoid it, but the universe was pulling you that way.
Yeah, actually, I have a good friend there. He's going through a really hard time. And, it was one of those deals where I could have told the guy what the solution was. I've been where he's at, and I know the answer, but it was one of those things where I couldn't tell him. It was like something you got to learn for yourself on this one, And but I went, and I was just going to let it go, but I went up and we sat and we talked for quite a long time, and I gave him a book that a friend of mine wrote, And I made him promise me he'd read at least the first chapter of it, because I've given that book to so many people and they go, "Oh my God, I can't read that." Yeah. It's pretty graphic, but it's an amazing book. And the boy sat down and read it, changed his life. I mean, it literally.
What book is it?
It's called The Final Quest. It's
Final
a
Quest.
good friend of mine. His name's Rick Joyner. He's a
Yeah.
prolific author, man. I mean, the guy, I don't know how many books he's written, 80, 90, 100, whatever.
Oh my
This,
God.
but this book is phenomenal, man. I mean, it is.
So when you say it's graphic, just in case anybody decides to look into it before they read it, they know what they're getting into. Do you mean it's graphic as in it's very detailed and gore? It's a lot of profanity.
Right. It's not. No. The brother is the guy that wrote is a really strong believer, but it's very graphic and demonic stuff that's going on. It's actually a dream that he had. It's a 3-part. It's a trilogy, but each book is a book in itself, a whole story in itself. And he's actually, last I knew, he was in negotiations with Hollywood to do this, put it into a screenplay. It's an incredible book. But if you're one of those Christians that don't believe in demonic activity, I mean, it gets pretty graphic with what goes on in it. But it is amazing. I mean, it is one of the most unbelievable. It changed my life too, and I've given it. I did a thing out here with a brother at a Harley dealership. It was called A Day for Heroes, and they had me speak. And I got a hold of the guy that wrote the book and told him, can you donate a case of these things? I'd like to give some out. Well, I'm good friends with his best friend. So when Rick said, "Yeah, I'll send you a case," well, Bart found out that Rick was sending a case, and they're always into this competition thing. So Bart sent a case too. So I've been giving these books out around the country quite a bit, and I usually have like 4 or 5 or 6 in my saddlebag, and I write for Scooter magazine over in North Carolina too. So I usually have a bunch of copies of that in my saddlebag and give to people. That's a real family friendly scooter rag. It's called Behind Bars, BARZ, but that's a good one too. But yeah, no, I'm just out here doing the stuff, man.
Hey Bob, I didn't know what your rig actually looked like, but
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I was like, holy cow! Look at the size of that trailer.
Yeah, I got it right. It's parked right over here. I don't know if you can see it. I got my finger in the way. There's my trailer. That's Natasha.
Yeah, well, Natasha's a lot bigger than I thought when I was thinking about a trailer on a bike.
Yeah, she's quite the quite the beast, man. I still haven't got to use it though. I mean, I got all these friends all over the country, and I haven't been able to use it. In fact, I'm going up. I'm thinking probably next week I'll be going up to South Dakota. I got a good friend up there that's battling cancer, and I want to go pray for them. And I got another good friend up there. So I was thinking, I don't want to tow it all the way up there and then have to tow it all the way back. And I don't really need it up there because I've got friends up there. So I'm thinking when I go up in a week or 2 weeks or whatever, I'm probably going to stay right up in South Dakota until after Sturgis, because then I have to come back here. I have to be here on the 12th of September to do a wedding, and then I have to be over in Rockford, Illinois on the 18th of September. There's that big blues thing I'm doing with those guys over there, and I'm really pumped for that, man. Sit down with some old school boys that played with B.B. King and Albert King. I can't wait, man.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I could see, like you were talking about driving in 30, 40, 50 mile an hour winds, and Natasha's pretty squared off there. If you get a gust of wind, that's got to drag your bike over.
I was glad I didn't take her to Florida either, because the guys I went with, the only reason I really went was, 4 years ago, I promised those guys I'd do that renewal of vows ceremony at the beach in Florida, and I gave them my word, so I did it with those guys. they got the motels. All I really had to do was pay for my gas and a couple of meals, and those guys did all the hotels and the drinks. And
There you go.
there was like I tell my granddaughters, my girlfriend's back in Atlanta when I'm drinking my bourbon. Well, that's grandpa juice. You can't have it. That's grandpa juice, man. So there was a lot of grandpa juice flying in Florida, man.
Yeah, you're in front of the bars, behind the bars, and on top of the bars when you go to the
Yeah. Well, we used their heads a couple times. They had this free like taxi service or bus service into town, so we left the scooters at the hotel a couple times and took that in because we knew it wasn't going to be real good to get back.
So what are the next step for you? What's your next plan, Bob? I know you got the pig roast going on. What are some of the other marks on your trail here? Some of the other destinations.
Gavin, I found that when I make plans, I just end up getting laughed at. I make plans. Like I have things like I've got some things in my mind, in the back of my mind, that I think I want to do, and they involve being in South Dakota. I think I need to go over to the like Jackson Hole, Teton area. I don't know why. When I make a plan, I get everything all done. I think God lets me do that just to keep me out of the way so I'm not screwing up what he's really trying to do. And then I get my plans all done, everything packed up, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And then God's going, hey, Gabriel, come here and check this out. I think, watch what Bob thinks he's going to do. And then he screws my whole life up. So
yeah.
I don't really try to make plans, man. When somebody reaches out to me, I do my best to do what I can do to help them, and the rest of the time, when I get up in the morning, I'm like, okay, God, I'll talk to you as soon as I have my coffee, and I'll have my coffee, and then I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do today? Where are we going today? And that's how I've done it for 5 years. I don't go looking for anything. Stuff happens, and if a door opens, I go through it, man. That's just how it is, man. Easy
come, easy go. Absolutely, I like that a lot.
I used to be wound up so tight. I just got to the point where I don't care anymore. I mean, I'm just gonna go with the flow.
What happened? What got you to that point where you said, you know what, I'm just gonna let the wind take me where it will?
My wife dying had a big part in that. Losing, I mean, my perspective of everything changed when I had the whole world, and then all of a sudden I have nothing but bullwinkle and some clothes. Your priorities get rearranged, and I've learned. A friend of mine one time was actually the guy that wrote that book I was talking about was preaching one time, and he made a statement that I grabbed a hold of, and it was like, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall bend but not break." So that's what I do. If you get your expectations set up on something and it don't work out, well, then you crash and burn, man. But I forget this guy's name. He's kind of a crazy comedian guy, and he just says, "Look, don't make plans. The reason we get disappointed is because we make plans and the plans don't work out. So just go along with life, and then when stuff happens good, it's like, hey, it's a great surprise, man."
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. What are some of the mental and spiritual stretches that you do to remain flexible?
Oh man, I just every morning when I wake up, I just let God know, hey, I'm here and I'm available. And all day long, I have conversations that go on in my head a lot, and that to me, I tend to overanalyze everything, but I'm really not overanalyzing anything, because what I'm doing is I'm talking to my God, and it looks like I'm talking to myself, but I get some pretty incredible answers in those conversations, man.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I believe in God. I have a relationship with him, and when I feel like he wants me to go here or do that or whatever, that's what I do. And if he tells me, hey, this brother doesn't look like he's doing so good, go see if he's all right, I just do it. I just walk around and do whatever I feel like I should be doing. I try to love people. My motivation is to see people make it through today and not crash and burn. It's just one day at a time, and help people understand how to be flexible and how to love each other. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, those big cross country runs that you're making got to be like long meditation periods.
Oh man,
where
Yeah. I'll tell you what. When I got to Wichita, 'cause I rode. Oh God, I left like at daylight. I left Mississippi. I would have left earlier, but I was out in the country and all the deer and whatnot. But anyway, when I got to Wichita, my shoulders hurt so bad you can't even imagine. I mean, holding that front end, I'm actually leaning like this to go straight most of the day. It was so bad.
Mm.
My shoulder hurt so bad. I'm sitting and talking to my friend in Wichita, and I'm trying to counsel him and give him some advice and stuff, and I'm hurting like a bear, man. And I just looked at him and said, "Damn, Dave, I got to find me a masseuse or something to carry around on the back of Bullwinkle." And he says, "Oh, I know one of them." He got his phone out like 10:30 at night and sent a message to this chick, and she brought her chair thing over. I had never had
10:30 at night. She was on call.
I had never had a massage in my life, and that chick, she had me sit in this weird looking chair thing and put my face in this little donut hole thing. She went to working on my shoulder. I almost told her to quit about a dozen times because it hurt so bad, man. My
it was a deep
arm
tissue massage.
Oh my God, my arm went numb. I had a toothache in my thumb, and then everything went tingly, and then I couldn't feel anything. And then I was like back to severe pain again. I was damn near in tears, and I was going to tell her to stop. And I was like, no, man, pain is supposed to be good. And I'll tell you what, when that chick finished, it was the first time in over 15 years I could put this arm up over my shoulder. It's a little tight now.
Yeah.
But that first, it was, if I hadn't gotten up at 4 o'clock in the morning and hauled ass, I'd probably still be in good shape. But no, that was my first massage. It was unbelievable. I'm a believer now.
They're absolutely amazing. That trip to Belize that I took, we went and we visited a healer while we were there, and my older brother had passed away, committed suicide about a year prior to that trip, and so I was still dealing with the grieving process. And I went there, and this healer did a healing massage on me, and it was one of the most relieving and painful experiences I've ever had in my life. She did a prayer and she did like light massage and whatnot, but then she started getting to like the deep tissue, and she said that stress builds in the stomach and in the gut area. And so she did this thing where she basically, because I was maybe a foot and a half off the ground on this little bed, and she took her hand and put it like this and pushed it with all of her weight and twisted down in specific parts of my abdomen. And I was exhaling. Like, she had me inhale, and then while she put down, had me slowly exhale. And I just remember feeling like it felt like she had like a string, like a fish hook, in my stomach, and was slowly just pulling out my soul.
Yeah.
This is the best way to describe having this happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember like I had tears welling up in my eyes. I was like, this is terrible. And as soon as she was done, I lay there for a second and I stood up and just felt light.
Oh, yeah.
Not lightheaded, but just everything just felt so ridiculously relaxed and just calm, and it felt like just everything was just exfoliated out of my body, all that stress.
Yeah, she only worked for like 20 minutes on this shoulder. Oh my God. I mean, I swear it's the first time in over 15 years I've been able to lift my arm above my shoulder, man. I was, as soon as I can afford it, I'm going to get another one, man.
Yeah.
On both shoulders, man.
Yeah. She only did one shoulder.
Yeah. That's my throttle arm. And
gotcha.
I don't have cruise control on my scooter. And I had, riding in that wind and in that extreme heat. I even had my cooling vest on. It's just a fiber-filled vest that you soak in a sink at the gas station or whatever. Throw it on, put a light jacket on over it, and it evaporates, gets you wet and evaporates. I even had that on. My God, it was like 103 when I pulled into Wichita. It did cool down about when I left at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was 91. It was a hot ass ride, man. But it was good. I had a great time with it. Good friends. Good. We had a good time.
That's awesome. How long are you going to be spending at that pig roast?
I'm going to go down. The roast is until Sunday, but I'm going to go down as soon as we're done here. I'm going to shoot down to Broomfield, his brother's house, and start getting everything out and ready. He's got the most incredible pig cooker thing. It looks like it's sort of like a wheelbarrow, a box. And you put the pig down inside the box and then put this lid on top and put the charcoal on top of the lid. And he's got all these Bluetooth thermometers. I know all these rocket scientists and IT guys, so that everything's Bluetooth thermometers and all this shit. And then as soon as the pig's temperature starts to rise, we usually have it like at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'll set the timer and start counting. And if the pig started, 100-pound hog is started by 7 o'clock in the morning. By 12:30, it's done.
Nice.
And it's good, man.
Oh, I believe it.
Fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it cooks from the top. It cooks from the top down, and of course, there's all various partying materials around all day and all night. So it'll be a good weekend. I'll get to see. It's one of them annual things his brother puts on, and it's one of those where a lot of people just don't get a chance to see each other all year. So there's usually 70, 80, 100 people that show up. And then when it gets dark, we're not that far from Cheyenne. So it's only like maybe 45-minute hour drive to the fireworks stuff. Of course, Governor, whatever the hell his name is, but screw them. We've got the what do you call them? The big ones.
The mortars.
The mortars.
Yeah.
We light it up pretty good every year.
Yeah.
It gets good. That was the last year, I think it was. And these are bikers. So last year, last couple of years, one of the guys' daughters, she's about 11, 12 years old. She'll go down, go around the crowd and hit people up for $1 or $2. If you give me $2, I'll eat the eye out of that pig thing.
Yeah.
So she made quite a few bucks the last couple of years because she'll pop that eyeball in her mouth and chew it right up, man.
Is that all she does, or she's just like all kinds of weird things when she's walking around just to make money?
No, that's the only thing I've seen her do is raise money for eating the eyeball. And what happens at Jeff stays at Jeff's for the most part.
There you go. So Brian's asking when you're going to South Dakota.
I'm not sure, Brian. Probably within the next week to 10 days. I have a really good friend. He came out with me last year from Indiana. Actually, I spent a week at his place earlier this year. And there's somebody up there that I just have this thing in my gut that these two brothers need to meet each other. They're a lot alike, but they're different in a lot of ways. But anyhow, Richard's riding out from Indiana after the 21st. So I'm not sure whether I'm still going to be here and we'll go up there together or whether I'm going to meet him up there. It depends on the price of gas, depends on a lot of stuff, man, which is like crazy. $4.19 for a gallon of freaking gas on the way out here. I was like, get out of here, man. It's freaking nuts. It's
getting expensive again. They're finding ways to, justify why they're bumping the gas prices and things like that. It's crazy. I know I may end up driving out to Sioux City toward the end of this month, like the 20 something, because there's a big libertarian, the Freedom Fest is going to actually be held there this year, because usually it's here in Vegas, but they were afraid that we were going to have this stupid mask requirement. So they said, we're going to South Dakota where they're more, they got their shit together a little bit better.
Yeah, no doubt.
So maybe going there and then get a chance to go over to Mount Rushmore and then go over to see the Crazy Horse Monument and things like that. So I may be in that direction, but I'm going to drive. I want to have a car, and right now, I mean, if anybody's been out there trying to drive or rent a car, the prices have gone up like three times what they used to be.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I want to get out to the Tetons this year. I don't know why. It's one of those things in my gut. I just think I need to go to the Tetons, and it's only it's probably a full day's ride from my friend's place in Belfouche over there. But I don't know why. It's one of them things. I probably get there and meet somebody. You never know what's going on. But I do want to get to the Tetons while I'm out there. So, but it's such a beautiful country. Have you been out there before?
I've been through a lot of different parts of the country, but never really to stay in anything. Like I've driven from Vegas to DC, from Sacramento to Dover, Delaware, and from the north down to the south into Mississippi and things along those lines. So through the Smoky Mountains and all that kind of stuff. But it's always been just passing through and never staying there.
When are you planning on being in South Dakota?
I got to take a look again, but it's like the 20 something in Sioux City.
Is that August or July?
July.
Oh, hell. We'll got to hook up then. If you're
let me see here.
Because I'm not going to be that far. I'm going to be like probably most of my time in Belfouche, which is just close to the Wyoming border. It's like not far from Sturgis, Spearfish, Deadwood, right in that whole area. And that's where all Crazy Horse and Devil's Tower and all that stuff's right in that area there. So you get out there, we got to get together, man.
Yeah. I just look at the dates, and it's supposed to be from the 21st to the 24th. So I think I was going to try to get out there a little bit earlier and stay a little bit later.
Yeah. I mean, when you're out there, my God, there's so much to see out there. The Badlands, Deadwood, Devil's Tower, Spearfish Canyon. I mean, it's a beautiful state, man.
Yeah, I have been through there again when I was driving like from Sacramento to Chicago and then down to Delaware. That was the longest trip that I took. But I broke that up because my parents lived in the Chicago area, so I took some time off there before heading that final leg to Dover, Delaware. But man, I'll tell you, it would be nice to see what's going on as opposed and spend some time rather than just doing.
Yeah, it's an amazing state, man, and it's so close to so much stuff. I mean, you can get into Montana. It's like just a real short drive from there. There's some beautiful stuff in Montana, and then of course the Tetons and a lot of desert there in Wyoming, but. No, you can't beat it. The Black Hills, the Badlands, all that. And whoever it was that designed those roads, man, they had scooter in their blood, man. Every one of those roads is made for riding scooters, man. Oh, God, the canyons. Unreal, man.
That was one thing that I was thinking driving from Cleveland to Vegas last week. Every other state, it seemed like I was thinking to myself, wow, I'd really love to have the motorcycle here. Yeah. Or I think, wow, I'm so glad I don't have the motorcycle right now. This would have been awful.
Yeah, there've been a couple of times, man. I would like last year when I came out here with my friend, I met him somewhere in Mississippi in a loaded bullwinkle in his trailer.
Yeah.
And I was bitching about it until we left Wichita, man. And I was like, man, I am glad bullwinkle's in the back because it was trying to snow and rain. It sucked. And then, of course, I trailered all the way back from South Dakota to North Carolina last year in luxury, man. I had a brother up. My God, I sat in a recliner, a leather recliner, doing 85 miles an hour, sipping on whiskey, smelling the crock pot going. I was like, I got to give me a patch. This is I trailered by him, man.
Yeah.
It was good, but
one day you're going to have to hook up some kind of a trailer to Brian Tracy's trailer and sit in the back, just have Bullwinkle up there on a trailer and just, sitting back and enjoying the trip. Let Brian do all the work.
Yeah, I'm up for that. I
Absolutely.
could do that in a heartbeat, man. I used to bitch about people trailering, about guys that had windshields on their motorcycles and electric starts. Not anymore, brother. Give me that push button and that windshield. I'm good with that shit now, man. I'm too old for that other crap. I killed myself doing that for 30 years. I can't do it no more, man.
Yeah, it's amazing how we change our perspective as we get a little bit more as our age goes up.
Yeah.
Even though our mind might not get older, our bodies definitely do.
Yeah, I got a 35-year-old guy that lives up in here somewhere, and if I ever catch him, I'm gonna bitch slap him, man. That sucker, he gets me in more trouble. Oh my God.
Well, we're coming up, getting ready to go on to our next segment here. Do you got any final words you'd like to say, Bob?
Everybody have a great day, man. Go out there and bless the world you're in. Change it, man. We all want to see the world change. Well, the best place to start is right where you're looking right now, man. Just go out there and be who you were meant to be and just love people. It's easy. Go do it. God bless.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Absolutely
Thanks,
beautiful.
Bob.
I'll see you
We'll
guys
see you next week, all right?
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
Stay safe, brother. All right. Brett, would
Yes.
you like to introduce the guest today?
Sure. Today's guest is Nick Beasly. Nick has been working as a health and fitness coach for 6 years. After spending times with collegiate and professional sports teams, he felt that the best way for him to be able to make an impact on the world and really help those around him was to get, more into the health and fitness coaching and working. I was just looking at the website, and he's got a whole bunch of initials after his name. It's like Nick MPACSCSDATCECESPN1. So gonna have to have Nick explain what all those initials mean.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm excited to talk to him. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have, I don't see his last name.
Beasly.
I just see Nick. What is it?
Beasly.
Measley. We have Nick Measley,
Beasly.
everybody. Good morning, Nick. How you doing, brother?
Oh, living the dream. How you doing?
Hey, same, man. Same. Just starting the morning off with a positive shot of delight.
There you go. I like it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about who you are and what exactly it is you do.
Yeah. So, boy, I started out as a certified athletic trainer working with sports teams and things like that. And then I started working as a personal trainer just in my spare time, basically, mostly so I could get a free gym membership.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
And
No,
then,
that's awesome.
yeah. And then one of the clients that I had there, he was a 84-year-old man with peripheral neuropathy and a couple other issues. I can't remember now. It was a few years ago.
Yeah.
But he was walking with a cane. And then one day after we'd been working together for about 4 or 5 months, he came in without his cane because he didn't need it anymore after we had worked together. And so that just like changed my life. And at that point I was like, wow, doing this, I can make such a bigger impact and help so many more people. And so that's when I switched more to in person. And then with COVID, I switched, and now I'm all doing everything all remote and online.
Yeah. So you're doing a lot of like home workout type of stuff then?
Yeah, exactly. So
Nice.
it's all, remote workouts delivered through plans and things like that. And then looking at your nutrition and your sleep and your stress and everything else just to really get you healthy.
No, I love that. I love that. How did COVID affect you when it first went, when everything first happened? Did you like take a couple weeks off, a month off from doing things, or did you jump straight into trying to pivot and keep your business going, and more importantly, keep yourself healthy and motivated?
Yeah, so it was tough at first just because it was very much like, the gym's going to be fine. We're going to be open. Or even if we close the gym, you'll still be able to train people. And then it was 7:00 one night. They were like, never mind, we're closing tomorrow. You're not gonna be able to come back in. So we're like, oh, shit. Okay. And so it was kind of a figure it out as you go. And so, yeah, I did take a couple of weeks because I was like, this is going to blow over quickly. We're going to be back in just a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then, spoiler alert, didn't happen. And so about a month or so in, I started working to build it up online.
Yeah, nice. I remember the way that I was about it, like I was still going to the gym as long as I could. And then when they did shut everything down, I think I spent maybe like 3 days doing home exercises. And like halfway through the third day, I was doing a bunch of push-ups. I'm like, this sucks. I'm not getting half the workout I used to. I'm not really feeling it. I just feel like I'm just like throwing my body around, and then I get done with it. I'm like, all right, now I'm just kind of sweaty, but I don't feel like actual work was really done.
Yeah. My buddy, we built a gym in his garage about a month or so afterwards, and so we started lifting there afterwards. So that's worked out because I'm the same way. I was doing homework, and I was like, no, I can't do this.
Now, were you buying equipment, or were you like making some like ghetto Flintstone equipment with cement blocks and stuff like that?
A little from column A, a little from column B. We started out making stuff. We made squat racks out of wood and everything. Nice. And then just because it was so hard to get equipment when COVID happened, because everybody was buying. I
know everybody bought all that workout stuff that they never used.
Yeah, exactly. And it just sat there.
Yeah.
And so once we got more stuff, now there's like, a fancy rack in there and everything. But yeah, we started out just building stuff. And him and I have been working in gyms for years and years and years. And so whenever they were getting rid of equipment, we were able to get some of it. So we had some stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I dig that. I've always heard of IT guys, people who work at like phone companies that go out or like people at GameStop. I had friends who worked at GameStop. It was really popular for them to go out in the dumpster and steal all the old video games that were thrown out and all the consoles and then go pawn them off. And they make like, a couple $1,000s a month from doing that.
Yeah. Right after it happened, when all the 24-hour fitnesses in this area closed, there was a guy that was like, owned a bunch of them, and he was selling all this stuff just off Craigslist, and we got a ton of stuff off of him too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. You talk about going out and picking up things out of the dumpsters. This totally different than working out for sure. But in college, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so we used to go dumpster diving at McDonald's because McDonald's used to have to throw things out, after they were on the warming racks for any length of time. So they would throw good hamburgers that were wrapped up into the trash container. So we would go there and order, especially if we were drunk. We would go there and get the stuff.
Just imagine
free food.
Hammered teenage Brett just rummaging through dumpsters like, shit, I found a burger. I found two.
Whatever you got to do.
Yeah, that's a lifestyle that people have, though. There are people where they have jobs, they got nice homes and cars and all that stuff, but they get all their groceries is secondhand. That's what they call it. And they go and they dumpster dive, especially like in the inner city areas.
Yeah.
In the dorms, people would buy pizzas all the time, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't like to eat the crust, so we used to call that the nails. And we would go into the garbage cans and open up the boxes and eat all the nails.
Stop! Don't.
That's gross. Well, why would you say that?
A horrible way to describe one of the best parts of pizza.
So, Nick, when you were talking about your buddies that you work out with, I noticed on your team501fitness.com, was that one of those guys, Garrett or Sean?
Yeah, it was Garrett. We were working out at his place.
I was looking there, and man, you guys all look like you're in good shape. And then you got Sean, looks almost like a Viking. He looks huge.
Yeah, he's a big boy. Him and Garrett both compete in like strongman competitions. So doing all the like Atlas stones and all the big heavy deadlifts and things like that. Yeah.
Nice. Do you ever get into any sort of the competitive side of it then yourself? Any competitions or lifting?
I haven't yet. I've been getting into more Olympic lifting, so doing the competitive clean and jerk and snatches. I haven't done a competition yet. I was planning to, and then COVID came around and canceled them all.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to do a remote competition. That sounded boring.
I feel like it's like doing a concert without an audience there. Like there's an atmosphere that's created.
Yeah, exactly. And so I figure I'll probably try and do one within the next 6 months to a year or so.
Nice. You have plenty of time to train and continue as well. Yeah. You ever thought of doing like an American Ninja Warrior type thing?
I have wanted to do that so bad, but like I would need to drop like 30 or 40 pounds to be able to realistically do that, which would suck.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Absolutely. No, that's one thing that I've always wanted to do, and only because I have like very minimal training. I try to work out, regularly. My goal is 5 days a week. Usually I make that, but then I'll also go through phases where I'll do it really well for like 2 months, and then I'll miss like a week or two just all together. Some life gets in the way.
Yep.
But I've always wanted to see like, how far could a slightly above average person get in that?
Yeah, exactly. I've always wanted to, but like I said, all the workouts that I do are like, pretty big. And I figure to do that, you probably got to be around like 180 to be able to actually like pick yourself up over those. So I would need to lose a lot.
Yeah. No,
completely change the way I train. So I don't want to do that.
So, Nick, explain all those initials after your name. What do those things represent?
Okay, yeah, my alphabet soup. So the first one, MPA, that's my Master's in Public Administration. CSCSD is Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist with distinction. Certified Athletic Trainer, Corrective Exercise Specialist, and Precision Nutrition Level 1. I think that's all on there.
Okay. So you went from public administration, a master's in public administration, to something that was absolutely in line with that master's degree.
Yeah. So it actually, I was doing athletic training and all of that stuff. And then there was a school in Oklahoma, a small little university in Oklahoma, that approached me and said, hey, if you come out and be our athletic trainer, take care of all of our sports teams, we'll give you a free master's degree.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, yeah, okay. And they were like, well, the only one we have is public administration. And I said, okay, well, I guess we'll do that.
I mean, that's pretty awesome, though. You got a free master's.
Yeah, exactly. So I was
hell yeah. You know what you should do now? Now you should just try to see how long you can make your name. So you got to get your doctorate degree. You can buy land. I ended up doing this. You can buy land in Scotland, and you can become a lord. So you'd be Lord Dr. Nick. And then all your other things. Then if you ever have a son one day, you name him right after you. You got a junior and senior, and just see how long you can just make this crazy
just
name.
Keep adding them on there. I get it.
Yeah, make your own business, become the CEO. So now you're Lord Dr. CEO Nick or Nick Senior.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a Guinness record. There's got to be a record for that, and you're already halfway there.
So, what are some of the, you talked about the older gentleman that was able to kind of get from depending on a cane to walking without it. What are some of the other memorable things that you've been able to accomplish by helping people recover from things? And I'm assuming that you do a lot of this, and focus a lot, without having any kind of pharmaceuticals that are supporting it. It's all more of a natural approach.
Yeah. So obviously I can't prescribe any kind of pharmaceuticals. So I tried to avoid all that altogether and just do it through exercise and nutrition, changing sleep habits and things like that. I had a woman who, I believe the first incident was she got she was in a really bad car accident and she ended up having 28 back surgeries.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I worked with her for about a year. And then after that, she was able to ski again for the first time in like 20 years.
Wow.
I had a woman who was run over by a car, actually. And had.
Now, when you say
horrible-
run over, do you mean like her leg got caught or an arm, or like you mean like straight up hit by a vehicle?
She was hit by a vehicle and the wheel stopped on her back.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so she had tons and tons and tons of problems.
Yeah.
And she was going in for surgery to basically fuse most of her spine together. Her and I worked together for about 8 weeks, and they canceled the surgery because she didn't need it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a very, very cool one too.
What were you doing to cause that? Were you doing like very like lightweight exercises with a lot of reps? Were you doing water aerobics? Like how'd you go about trying to fix that?
Yeah, most of it is core stuff. So laying down on a table and doing the work like that. A lot of stuff against the wall, just trying to fix posture and things like that. A lot of, especially pain, is related to, not related to, it all comes from the brain, obviously. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can train your brain and things like that to reduce a ton of the pain. So that way, it's not going to fix the problem, but it will help you be able to fix the problem. You get rid of the pain, and then you can do the exercises to fix the structural issues.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Have you ever had any sort of injury yourself where you either had to see a trainer or you had to sort of train yourself to get it fixed? Obviously not to that extent, I'd hope, but something where maybe you had like some leg injury, and so you had to sort of start from square one again and build back up.
Yeah. When I was in my undergrad, I was just playing pickup basketball with some friends, and I tore my meniscus in my knee. And then that was the process that did it, is that got me into this, is I was just fascinated by the whole rehab process and everything. So then I switched my major over, and here we are.
What was that process like for you? Because I know that you were extremely athletic, you still are, but that must have been frustrating to have to be, knocked down to like a beginner kind of level to regain that strength.
Yeah, it was frustrating, and just having, I went from, at the time, I think I was squatting sets of like 315, 320 to, not being able to body weight squat. And so it was frustrating. It took a long time, and just dedication, just sticking with it. And yeah, it was tough, but I had good people around me and helped me out. So
why didn't you quit?
That's a good question, because I wasn't even, playing anything like that. It was mostly just because the people around me helped me out, pushed me through it. And I guess they just sort of made me do it. And so, yeah.
You weren't allowed to quit. They didn't give you the option of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So then, did you get all of this through playing sports as a kid, or is it like a family thing or interest, or how'd you get into overall this fitness world?
Yeah, good question. So my grandfather is a lawyer who deals specifically with athletic injuries and suits like that. And so he was on the board for the Rocky Mountain Athletic Trainers Association, and he wrote all the bylaws and things like that. And so he knew all of the athletic trainers in the Rocky Mountain area. And so he introduced me to the, at the time, head athletic trainer of the Denver Nuggets. And so I got to know him, go through that and everything. And then that's sort of how I transitioned into it, is him sort of introducing me to the world of it.
Nice. How old were you at that time?
The first time I met him, I think I was 12 or so, just because he came out and we met one time. But when I really met him was when I went down to college, when I turned 18.
Yeah. So is he sort of your idol or your mentor through all this then?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Do you have any other sort of like mentors or idols that like you really looked up to that helped inspire you when you had like a torn meniscus and you had all your friends and family pumping you up and stuff like that? Like who was like somebody that you really looked to set that fire under your ass to keep you going at early in the morning when you didn't want to go at all?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest two would be he was the head athletic trainer of the Nuggets. His name is Jim Gillen. And then the current head athletic trainer of the Nuggets, and at the time when I met him, he was the assistant, but his name is Dan Shemensky. And so those two would be the big ones that really pushed me and motivated me and made me where I am today.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
What are some of the teams that you've worked with?
Yeah, so I worked with Metropolitan State University of Denver's college teams, and then a few high schools in the Denver area. The university that I went to in Oklahoma was a small university called Randall University. So I worked with all of them. And then I was with the Nuggets for 6 or 7 years. And I did a training camp with the Broncos as well.
It's interesting. I got a friend of mine who's up in Denver. He trains triathletes. In this thing called Mile High Multisport. His name's Pete Alfino, but went to high school with him, and now he's training these triathletes, and they like rented out this lake that's kind of surrounded by homeowners associations, and use that as kind of their training grounds early in the morning before people normally get out on their boats and stuff like that, where they train the swimming stuff, but then up in the mountains there, it's great training for bike and running and so forth. But he's been very successful in building competitive triathletes up there.
That's very cool. Is it in the Denver area that he does that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's super cool.
Yeah.
What'd you say the name of it was again?
Mile High Multisport.
Multisport. That sounds really interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I trying to link up with somebody like him where they've got these, athletes that are in training, and as bodies get more and more tuned, you also have the challenges that those bodies, when they get tweaked, can tweak real quickly. That's why, a lot of people don't realize the athleticism that are in some of the pro golfers like Tiger Woods. His body is so tuned to what he does, but then it also gets to the stretching point where like a musician, you get to where all of a sudden the string breaks. And trying to get back from that is a lot of work and requires a lot of manipulation and support and so forth. So might be an opportunity to kind of connect up there and see what you can do. He also is aligned with another buddy of mine. We were all in high school together, and this is in Illinois. I have one of my friends who's one of the leading prolotherapists in the world. And prolotherapy uses injections of like sugars around the base of your ligaments and your tendons to tighten those up to give you back the strength that they are supposed to have without surgery. And as you're doing things, you're working on core strength and how that core strength balances and brings back the natural way that muscles and bones and ligaments and tendons work together in order to, have the body work without pain and without leaning in a direction. Because if you lean in a direction for any length of time, you overcompensate another part of your body, and all of a sudden you got big problems.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about keeping things even and keeping things balanced and all of that. Yep. That's really cool.
I can't remember the name of it. Do either of you know? It's similar to like American Ninja Warrior kind of thing. It's similar to a triathlon, but basically they're like these huge runs that people do where you'll swim through like freezing cold water or this huge obstacle course. There's all this mud usually involved in it.
Like the Spartan races?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Have you ever done one of those? And if not, would you do one?
I have done one.
You got to tell me about it, man. Because I keep seeing ads for them pop up on like my Facebook and stuff like that, and I really, really want to sign up and do one.
You should do one. They're really not that bad, especially if you're in like somewhat decent shape.
Yeah.
Because you're not running that far, and then none of the obstacles are too terribly difficult. It's just sort of a they all kind of suck.
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a mental than a physical kind of
100%.
thing. I look at people and they're out of breath, but they just look cold and dirty. I'm like, this looks more uncomfortable than difficult physically.
Yeah, and that's what it all is. It's crawling through mud when you're cold and crawling over things after you're in mud and cold, and it's all, none of the things are very difficult physically.
Yeah.
It's all just mentally draining, and you're just like, wow, this sucks. Why did I do this? And then you finish it and you're like, that was awesome. I want to do another one. So do they provide like beverages and stuff when you're done with it? You got like hot cocoa and tea and blankets and stuff like that at least. All right, that's good. That's good. Do they have anywhere for you to wash off, or you got to get back in your vehicle just covered in shit? No, there's I mean, it's usually like a hose, but you can, at least get your mud off and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you're already soaking wet and freezing anyway, so the hose isn't like that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's nothing fancy, but they do have like a nice little hose there for you to just spray down and everything. So yeah, you get to at least not track mud into your car and everything, which is nice.
Yeah. What was your experience like going to one of those?
I mean, it was just me and a bunch of buddies went. I went with Sean and some of his friends from the website back in the day when he was smaller, and we all went together. And I mean, it really wasn't anything crazy. It was just, this sucks. Crawling over things, at the time, him and I were both, even if we were smaller at the time, it was, we weren't like cardio in shape. We were like lifting. And so, but it wasn't too bad. It was still, because like I said, there's not too much running or anything like that. It's pretty much you kind of jog to the next obstacle and then crawl through some mud and then jog through the next obstacle and then climb over a wall and then just yeah.
No, I got that. That's something that I realized, because for a while, so when I was younger, I was very, very small. I was very thin. I did a lot of cardio. That was my strong suit. I wasn't very strong at all. And then halfway through middle school, coming into high school, I started doing lifting with the football team, and I kind of cut back on my cardio a bit. But I started gaining muscle and strength. I'm like, oh, this feels good. I don't look like a twig anymore. I'm enjoying this. This is fun. I'm having a good time making friends. And then as I became an adult, I pretty much cut out cardio altogether. And in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'm still very lean. I'm still thin. I know I could run if I need to, but it didn't become apparent to me at how important it was until I ran on treadmills side by side with my one little brother, Aiden. He is he's a little prodigy drummer. He does full kit, double pedal. Like he's, wow. Do you know the band Mushroom Head? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he works for them. He lives with them. Yeah. He does their lights. He makes their masks. He drums for them. Like he's an insane musician, and he just turned 18. So like I said, little prodigy. No, he's set. But we went to Planet. He came with me to Planet Fitness one time, and I remember I was lifting like 3-4 times as much as him, and then we get on the treadmill, and I put it to like 6.5, 7.5 around there, get like a good run going, and I'm enjoying myself. I look over and this little bastard is doing 12 like it's nothing.
Oh my God.
Dude, he's super well. That's what he does, because he drums a lot of jazz and heavy metal, and a lot of that is nothing but crazy kick drums. Like he'll hold a double pedal at like insane speed for a solid 5 minutes. So I look over at him and he's just sprinting like it's nothing, and he's looking over at me. He's talking to me the way I'm talking to you right now. He's all like, "So, what's new with work?" I'm like, "Fuck you! What do you mean? What are you talking about? You RoboCop!" But he does it for hours every single day. He would drum and drum and drum.
Good for him. I look at a treadmill and I start breathing heavy and sweating.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally understand. I stopped using the treadmills. I like doing the stairs now and the ellipticals. That's what I like using.
Yeah,
I found the stairs are more strenuous, and then I feel like I can get like a better workout with those. And then the ellipticals aren't so hard on my knees.
Yeah, I get you. I usually do the stairs, or I do like one of the bikes, because then I can just like play on my phone and I don't get as good.
Yeah,
You're,
it's just looking at the 501 website
Yeah.
and the pictures there where you're flipping tires, tractor or big truck tires, and I like the one though where you're carrying the kegs.
Yeah, that's
to
a
me,
fun
that's
one.
the most important aspect of lifting is to be able to carry a keg from the car to the house.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's important.
But it's like non-traditional type stuff, which I think makes it more fun and really does tie into. I used to always watch the the strongest man competitions from way back when when it used to be on the Wide World of Sports, which used to be on TV, and I got into that. But I see that you guys kind of train that way.
Yeah, like I said, they compete in that stuff, and I enjoy it. So I do some of it too. A lot of the keg carries, the keg throws, and I mean, tires are great. I love tires. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like you said, it's just different and fun.
Now, realistically, how effective are those in like a day-to-day workout thing? Because they look really cool. I've done a couple of them. They are really fun, but I'm curious on like, would that be something that would be practical to have in like day-to-day exercise routines mixed with other things?
It depends, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to work with. Tires are very, very good for athletes, just the way that you have to drive through and go up. It's very, very good to develop the muscles that you use for running and jumping. In terms of just carrying things around, it can be good. Just because, I mean, you have to carry things around in your daily life.
Yeah.
So they are good. Again, it just depends on what you're working on and what you're doing and all of that.
And I'm guessing a lot of it has to do with really maintaining some level of a technique too, so that you don't hurt yourself and that you gain the strength in the areas that you're looking for by maintaining and I think that that's something in people's everyday lives that we don't do is we have different things that we lift and push and do those types of things, but we don't do it in a structured or the most healthy way. And this type of training, if you're just working with weights or machines, there's certain specifics that you have there, but that's not what you normally run into on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with machines that only operate on like one plane of motion. There's no side to side, there's no stability. And like you said, most people pick things up wrong. And so learning how to do that appropriately is actually really, really beneficial.
Yeah, those machines, some of them have kind of screwed me up a little bit, actually. I had so I work out at Planet Fitness mostly just because it's cheap. It's literally 2 minutes away from me, and it's the 24/7. So it's all for convenience sake. That's the only reason why I go. It's extremely convenient for me. And there was a UFC gym that opened up not terribly far from me that I got a trial membership there for a month. Checked it out, see what it was all about. And at Planet Fitness, they have all of their bench presses. They're made for single people to use, so you don't need a spotter. So they have the bars locked back, and then they're also on a track. Well, because I'm so used to it being on a track, I went to the UFC gym, and I started using their weights, which is completely free weights. And I'm trying to do the bench press, and I noticed that I was starting to get a little wobbly. And it's just because I'm no longer used to not having that track there holding it perfectly steady for me. So that kind of made me reevaluate, and I had to lower my weights and then work back up to what I was doing there. So that way I had the technique back down again. So I'm glad that I ended up doing that trial thing because it put me back in reality. Like, oh, I'm not lifting half of what I really think I am.
Yeah.
I got a crutch on me.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, there's a place for those machines. I'm not saying that they're bad or worthless or anything like that, but just understanding that they have their place and, you need to do the stability things too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I did that. And then once I did that, once I realized that I started incorporating more like dumbbell presses and stuff like that, where I was forced to not only have that balance, but independently as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dumbbells are really good because, like you said, then each arm has to stabilize individually instead of kind of helping each other. So
yeah, I like dumbbells too because if for whatever reason it does get too heavy or you start to fail with it, you don't have to worry about a bar coming out and chopping you in the throat or breaking your nose, you can just throw them to the side and call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. Just drop them and let it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. What type of exercise would you say is your favorite?
I love cleans. The clean and jerk is my favorite.
Okay. You got to describe. In all honesty, I've probably done a million of them, just don't know exactly what they are. So describe for me what a clean and jerk is.
So a clean starts on the ground. You walk up to it, and then you pick it up, hit it with your hips, catch it on your shoulders, and then you dive down, put it above your head.
That's like that crazy badass Olympic.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I can see why you like that. That's a heavy exercise.
Yeah, they're difficult to learn, but they're a lot of fun. I enjoy them a lot.
Yeah, no, that seems like a fun one. I remember in high school, my favorite exercise for the longest time were burpees, just because I really enjoyed.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh, a lot of things. Yeah, I'm a bit of a sadist. I like pain. Well, because I took weightlifting in high school, and then afterward, I enjoyed doing it. I was like, ooh, this is a free gym membership. So I became the teacher's aide during my study hall because I was doing anything other than studying in study hall. So I was like, I might as well be productive with it. So I went there and I would help train things. I used to do this one thing with students, especially because there were days where Coach Fleming just wouldn't be there. Like either he had something going on or was officer. He just wouldn't be there. Yeah, he's like, Gavin, I'm going to need you to run the class today, or I'm going to need you to run the class tomorrow. I got a doctor appointment, or I got to go grocery shopping, or I don't know, whatever the hell you got to do. Well, yeah, no problem, Coach. I got you. And one of the things I really enjoyed doing, I called them superset burpees, where you would do a burpee, but when you jump up, you grabbed on, and then you would do a pull-up as well. And I'd have kids do that, and so until one of them either started crying or throw up. Because I had a lot of freshmen.
Man,
yeah.
That's for me. It was like, I'd like to go out and work out at night, and I'd start out with the 12-ounce curls and work up to the 24-ounce curls, and pretty soon I'm burpees all over the place. So that to me was the way that I worked out.
Well, I just always really enjoyed those like full body, very intensive exercises.
Yeah.
I feel like that's definitely the appeal to the cleans, especially because you have all that weight too. Like there's nothing cooler than watching somebody just throw 300 pounds over their head.
Yeah, it's it's a lot of fun, and just like you said, it's very satisfying to just have 200-300 pounds on the ground. And then
do you ever like imagine yourself being like a character or being in like weird scenarios when you're exercising? Like one, for example, when there's one, it's like an inclined chest workout. When I'm doing that, I have the machine and everything, and I'm pulling the wires, and in my head I'm imagining that I'm Hercules, just ripping the chains out of the walls, like
I know what you're talking about. There's one like the pec deck where you just come straight across. I saw a meme years and years ago, and now I can never do it without thinking about it, and it's just like I'm gonna be so good at hugging.
I like that. That's awesome. That's sweet.
Every time I do it, I think about that.
Yep. Anytime somebody texts you, like, "Oh, what exercise are you doing?" Affection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One of the other ones I enjoy doing is so I'm laying down, like I don't know what any of these exercises are called in all honesty, but I'm laying down and I got a dumbbell and I bring it back. And it's a really good back workout is what I do it for. Yeah, and I'm pulling it over, just dumbbell overheads, I think it's called. And I always imagine that I'm like Thor, and I have my hammer. I'm just getting ready to throw it.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, just little things. And I do this specifically for me, but I know people enjoy watching it because I'll catch people watching me giggle like a little giggle like a little schoolboy while I'm just a little like throwing weight around. I'm like, I'm worthy.
So how do you incorporate more of the mental aspect into your training as well? Because I'm sure that is a big component to that in helping people to work through pain, especially if they're in recovery mode, work through the mental pain of, like you were saying, where you go from being able to lift 300 pounds or squat 350 pounds, and then you can't squat at all, and have that kind of mental anguish that's going on. How do you work your people through that kind of a thing?
Yeah. So there's I guess, therapy concepts known as therapeutic pain neuroscience education, which basically is that if you teach people about pain and how it works, it can reduce a lot of pain, because the injury and healing process is very, very predictable. It follows a very logical pattern and a very logical time period of the body repairing and things like that, whereas pain does not. Pain goes up and down, changes, things like that. I'm sure you've woken up with bruises on your body or whatever. You're like, where the hell did that come from? Yeah. So you have tissue damage, but you don't have pain. So that's sort of where it comes from, is teaching, okay, your body is trying to stop you. And it's, it's not your body, your brain is trying to stop you. And so, but where we're at in this healing process, it's structurally sound. So you're not going to hurt yourself more. And there's been studies that have shown that can help a lot. And then there's mirror therapy, which is also really interesting, where basically you look at a mirror while you're doing exercises to make your brain think that it's the other side. So it's the non-injured side, and they can do a lot more weight and do it without pain. So pain is from the brain. That's where the signals come from. And so if you can sort of trick your brain in ways to not register pain the same way, then you can do a lot more stuff.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah,
do you ever do any sort of like CBD products?
I tend not to recommend them, just because the research isn't where I would like it to be. I know a lot of people that use them, and I know there's some good research that's coming out on inflammation, especially things like that. And so I have clients that use them, but I tend not to recommend them, just because the research isn't at where I'd like it to be in order to make a professional recommendation.
No, I completely understand that. I asked because so Delight Digital Cafe, it's all under the umbrella company Delight CBD, or just Delight. We have a CBD product. It's an odorless, colorless, tasteless CBD powder that you can add into anything and make it a product. We went through the FDA and everything to make sure it's all regulation approved and stuff like that. I know I have friends, their grandparents use it as a topical. They put it in their lotion for their grandparents for their arthritis. It works really well. We actually we just went to Vegas, and we had a convention that we did there. We won a bunch of awards, and we had a gentleman there by the name of Joseph. He's a photographer who has a torn meniscus. And he was taking it, and he literally bought 6 boxes. Like, he took 2 of them, bought 6 boxes. He's like, I don't feel it at all anymore. So definitely after this, we can get in contact, see about sending you a sample or something like that if you'd be interested. Yeah,
100%. It like I said, it comes down to that personal recommendation versus professional recommendation. Yeah. Because personally, I've used it and I like it. And so it's just that the research isn't there for me to be able to recommend it professionally. Yet.
I understand that.
I would assume in the next couple of years, I'll be telling everybody to take it. But yeah, I personally, I do use it, and I do think it's effective, but it becomes the personal versus professional recommendation.
Professionally, do you have to worry about you losing your license or anything at all, or any sort of your credibility with it?
With my athletic training license, I could. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to lose it for recommending CBD products, especially ones that are approved by the FDA and everything like that. Yeah. It's just it's a taboo thing you don't want to risk. Yeah, it's just an area that I don't want to go into when it's I can't point to a specific research study and say this is going to work, this is going to be good. So
yeah, and one of the things that it works with, and this is something I think you encounter even with people that go to the gym and so forth, is oftentimes they're using the gym to get rid of anxieties, work through PTSD, work through those types of things, which are, the mental component that may have driven them to the gym to be able to work out these feelings. And that's where also the CBD comes into play as well. But there's so many people that do go to the gym, and it's either to work out to make themselves look better, which oftentimes has to do with self-image.
Yeah,
concern,
absolutely.
Yeah.
as well as to work through in a more positive way some of the excess energy that could be generated from anxiety and PTSD and those types of things. Which do you encounter a lot of people that have those kind of drivers behind it that you also have to work with, from more of a mental health perspective as well?
Yeah. It's obviously very, very common, especially within the past year, dealing with people with depression issues, anxiety, eating disorders, body image issues, everything like that. You see it. And I try to do the best that I can, but I also understand that I'm not an expert in the area of specifically like eating disorders and things like that. So go see somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of, especially just for example, the last year, so many people that I talk to now, have signs of depression and everything like that. And so, like you said, getting out that exercise, doing that physical activity, and then also just having somebody to talk to that is there to listen and care about your problems, is really beneficial.
Yeah. It's part of what we do with the Light Digital Cafe, and for having guests like yourself on here and so forth, is to really help people from an all-around wellness perspective, whether it be mental wellness or what I call melness, and physical wellness, which could be pelness or whatever. It's really about trying to find different ways and provide people with different perspectives, different tools to be able to deal with the challenges that we have in life, and in the whole concept of being able to leverage your physiology to impact your mental wellness is critical. Tony Robbins talks about it all the time, that the best and quickest way to deal with your mental state is to immediately do something with your physical state, your physiology, the hydration, the get up and walk around, breathing, those types of things. And that immediately gives you an opportunity to start to break into potential, downward spirals toward the mental side and those types of things. So I was wondering, how you might work with things along those lines.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do with all of my clients, I send out a weekly wellness survey. So it covers things like how difficult was the workouts this week, how difficult was the nutrition this week, how was your sleep this week, how was your stress, how's your overall mood, everything like that. Because like you said, there's physical well-being, there's mental well-being, there's the stress, there's the sleep quality, there's your interpersonal social relationships. All of that, if that's not together, you're not going to be a healthy body. Yeah. So, it comes a lot more into like the Eastern medicine definitions of health that are more based off of being whole as a person, as opposed to the Western medicine, which is not being diseased. And so it's kind of different philosophies to look at.
Right. And that's the part that I tend to work with is, the more the mental aspect of it, and providing tools to people to look at life differently, look at their challenges differently, look at opportunities to deal with those things differently, including, being able to then say, okay, well, I'm going to have to get out and actually move more. One of the things that I talk about oftentimes is the yin and yang aspect, and that especially like over the past 18 months, we've been suppressing or depressing the mental state by locking people up, and also the physical state if they stop going out and doing things. So you start to get this imbalance in terms of which part of your brain or your body is getting depleted. and you have to bring those things back in balance in order to be able to really sustain an overall wellness perspective. And oftentimes in business or at work or whatever, you're beating your brain down. You may be sitting behind a computer all day and you've drained your brain, but your body has still got this energy because it hasn't done anything. And bodies were made to move. So now you've got to be able to kind of, I say, beat the shit out of your body in order to bring it into the same level as your mind. And then when you go to sleep at night, you've got kind of that balance in the drain of the body and the mind, so that you can actually rest in a more peaceful state.
What are some of the tools that you use and that you tell people to do to help with that then? That's just super interesting.
Well, one of the things that we have as part of like the show that I do on here is called One Square at a Time. And it's using the concept of a chessboard, a chess king that can only move one square at a time. Mm-hmm. And then you've got your team around you. And it's kind of a leadership aspect on life. And what I do is I use movies like Harry Potter movies or Avenger movies or whatever to establish some sort of a connection with the audience. And then through that, pull out specific things that were illustrated or demonstrated in those movies that are beyond the, recognizing that Thor's got a hammer, but it's really about, more about how he or other characters used innocence or used inquisitiveness or things along those lines. And then by using those, you start to ask how you can do things differently in life. We get most depressed when we get backed into a corner. And oftentimes we're backed into a corner because we don't have a toolkit, an entire Batman tool belt of things on how to deal with what comes up in life. And life throws many obstacles and roadblocks and opportunities. But if you don't have tools, a whole spectrum of tools, or a toolkit like a mechanic, mm-hmm. You don't want to use a wrench when you need a screwdriver. You don't want to use a hammer when you need
a wrench,
a level, or a wrench, or whatever. So that's kind of the way that we deal with the tools of trying to connect them to people in a way that they can also relate to and have fun with, and look at if you can look at movies from a different perspective on what it can provide to you as opposed to just the entertainment value, then it really opens up a whole new world that can be kind of an edutainment kind of a thing, of creating a mental a tool belt of mental tools that you can use in life.
Interesting. I like that. That's very cool. I might have to steal that.
Yeah. Can definitely check out, if you go to delightcafe.com, you're actually going to see like the CBD product that we have. You're going to see the connections to the YouTube channels and so forth, and the different programs in there. We also have the H, which is every Wednesday, where we have one of our guys. His name is Fuck Joe, and he talks and has guests, and they talk about the health from a different perspective. So it's really all about being able to bring many different options to people so that they can better live their life from both a physical and a mental perspective.
Very cool.
One of the last questions I want to ask you really quick is, so we've been talking a lot about the mental health aspect of everything. What are some of the things that, when you're feeling unmotivated, how are you still getting yourself out of bed to go put in the work for not the you today, but the you tomorrow? And then have you ever dealt with body dysmorphia and seeing yourself in the mirror saying, oh, I'm too small, or oh, I have too much body fat, and seeing that in your head when that might not be the reality of it? And then how'd you deal with that as well?
Yeah, in terms of looking at it and body dysmorphia, absolutely. You look in the mirror and you say, oh, my arms are tiny, I need to lift more, things like that, pretty much every day. And so it's just something that you have to sort of train yourself that No, it's okay. You know, making progress, doing better. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm closer than I was 6 months ago. So
Yeah.
let's just keep moving that way. And then, you know, in terms of a good piece of advice I got when I was in college, I had a teacher tell me, you know, a lot of people get discouraged in the gym because they see everybody else in so much better shape than them. And the thing is, you're not competing against them. You're competing against you from 6 months ago. So yeah. In terms of what I do, it's just what I love about lifting and everything is that it's very, very visible progress where you're doing things and you say, you know, 3 weeks ago, I physically couldn't do this. This was impossible. Yeah. And so the feeling of, you know, hitting a new PR and doing all the bigger lifts and everything is what drives me to keep doing it. And it's just what I love. So.
Hell yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So what we like to do at the end of the show here is we like to go around and give a positive last word. It could be something you take away from the show. It could be a fortune cookie. It could be a joke that you heard. Just something to leave the audience off on a positive note. I'm going to have Brett go first, and then I will go next, and then you will be the last and take us out as the guest, all right?
All right.
All right. Well, I think today, you know, kind of what I drew out of even kind of the conversations that we had with Bob doing his mental exercises or you know, self-talk, talking with his God, talking with himself, as well as the physical aspect that we're talking about with Nick, is really to look at life through the concept of yin and yang, and recognizing that there's a physical and there's a mental balance. There's many different things that we need to balance in life. There's the chi in your body, which is the energy flows in your body, and the mental aspect as well. So as we go through life, recognize that we do need to bring our body and mind into some sort of a balance, because that's a natural state. That's the grounded state. Look at opportunities when you feel that you have mental anxiety. Go out and do something to kind of beat the crap out of your body a little bit, because you're really trying. Your body has got this excess energy that your mind is kind of drawn on, and you're getting this friction internally. So look at opportunities like that. Or if you do a lot of physical activity, but you haven't had an opportunity to really stress or stretch your mind, do something along those lines. Go out and you know, learn something every day. That's something that I always say, is that if you're not learning, you're dying. So look at those opportunities to balance that yin and yang in your life. If you balance that yin and yang, you're going to have a more restful sleep. You're going to have a more fulfilling life, and you're going to be able to deal with the stresses and strains, both from a physical and mental perspective, in a much more healthy way. Have a great weekend, everybody, and keep that in mind.
Wonderfully said. So what I would like to take from today, and inspired by Nick and inspired by Bob Seymour, is whenever you have a goal, whenever you're doing something, if you are feeling down, if you are feeling unmotivated, so remember, like Nick said, you're not competing against everybody else. You are competing against yourself. If you are unhappy with the shape that you're in right now, if you're unhappy with the mental state that you're in, as far as like how intelligent you are, how good at a skill you are, remember that the only person who's really able to change that is you. So you're not unhappy with the world around you. You're unhappy with the person you were yesterday. And that's why we take today and we plan for tomorrow to be better than who we were yesterday. It could be a little bit, it could be a lot. You know, you could spend 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes on it. But if you are being active and spending time every single day on something that you love, you will most definitely see positive change. You will most definitely see improvements on that. So just keep that in mind, and remember that it is you that you are fighting, and it is you that you are benefiting.
One quick short thing I got. When you think about fitness and exercise, somebody told me a long time ago, is exercise good for you? Now, broccoli is good for you. You should eat it every now and then. Exercise is essential. The body is supposed to move. So move every day. That's all I got.
Absolutely wonderful. I love that. That was good. You gave us a nice misdirection there.
Yeah.
Once again, my name is Gavin Kerr, Brett Gordon here, Nicholas Beasley. Thank you guys all so much for being here. Thank you everybody who watched, like, subscribe. Please share. That is the best way to support us, is by sharing word of mouth or sharing on social media. We will see you all again next week. Stay safe. We love you. Take care.